Hello and welcome to the fourth day of P7 Practice to Pass session for June 2018 examination being organized by ACCA Pakistan. I'm Kashif Kamran, your tutor. Now, so far, I hope you had an effective learning over the last 3 days as we now enter the second last day today, where the focus of this Practice to Pass session is on reporting. So on day 4, I'll be practicing with you a very important question, which is part of the P7 exams, which is the question 5. Let's see what misunderstandings you have for the question 5 of the P7 exams. And over the next 2 hours, how effectively can you prepare yourself or plan yourself to do the question 5 in the June 2018 exams. Now, obviously, reporting is a critical area of P7 exams and is a static question of the P7 exams. It's not something you will not see because it's something by default that the question 5 of the P7 exam in each exam sitting is a question on reporting. The P7 exams are so well structured that the question 1 starts from planning and the question 5 ends with reporting, and that's the true cycle of audit that you start audit with the planning process, which is the question 1, and you end audit with the reporting process. So in terms of the perfection, the paper is very perfectly set. Okay, now what are we preparing for in terms of reporting, which is the agenda for the fourth day? Reporting, which is the question 5 of the P7 exam and which is part of the section B. Now, when it is part of the section B, obviously you have a choice. You can opt for it and you might not opt for it. If you consider my advice, I prefer or I suggest students that they should opt for question 5 because to me, this is a scoring opportunity and this is a question which is better than the other questions in the section B. If you are prepared on reporting and you know the fundamentals of reporting and you know the content of reporting, then this is a question you should opt for in the section B of the P7 exams. Now, let me define some fundamentals because it is a section B question, right? The first thing is, should I opt for it or not? The answer to that question would be yes, if you are very clear on reporting knowledge. If you're very clear on knowledge from audit report. If you have weak knowledge on audit report, or if you have some misunderstandings about audit report, and you're not very clear about audit report, then please don't do this question. The condition when you should opt for this, you should opt for this if you are very clear on knowledge from the audit report. Secondly, as per my advice, you should do it because this question can be done. This is a very time efficient question. You can complete the question within stipulated time because there is not much complexity in a reporting question and not much complexity in terms of what is the examiner asking and what you have to deliver. So it's a pretty straightforward question which needs a sensible exam technique, and you can come good on this question number 5 of the paper. Now, what exactly the question 5 asks you and what exactly is the temperament of the question 5? Now, when you look at the question 5, which is the question focusing on audit report, what exactly the question tends to ask? What exactly the question tends to ask? The question tends to ask many things. But some of the focal areas, some of the focal requirements of the reporting question, let's understand them and discuss them. What the question exactly asks for. Obviously, it is a reporting question, right? So the focal point of the question is the impact on audit report. Now, yesterday in the session when we were discussing evidence, we came across the type 1 question yesterday, right? And the type 1 question, when I was explaining explain the methods. So I told you the methods are MTR, materiality, treatment, and risk of material misstatement. Technically, in a reporting question, we have almost the same scenario, because in a reporting question, when we are thinking about an impact on report, when you're thinking about an impact on report, be realistic. The impact on report relates to an accounting issue. In mostly, there might be impact on the audit report of a non-accounting issue. But if the question is on an accounting issue and you think there is a wrong accounting treatment, then obviously you need to think about the impact of the report in terms of qualified report or an adverse report. Okay, there is a question from Rohit Kumar. He's asking, is there a set format that question 5 will be on audit report? Rohit, yes, that has been the consistent practice of the P7 examiner. That is a default question, right? Could we get audit report extracts in other questions too? Not at all, Rohit. Not at all, Rohit. So I hope you're clear on that, right? Okay, so the question 5, the basic focal point of the question 5 is the impact on report. And mostly in a question 5, you have accounting issues. And when you look at those accounting issues, you need to consider something we were doing yesterday. You need to consider the materiality of the accounting issue, because that is very important to consider the impact on report. Is the accounting issue material or not? So you need to consider the materiality. Then obviously you need to consider its treatment, whether it is right or wrong. If it is wrong, then why? If it is wrong, then why? So if the treatment is wrong, then why it is wrong? You need to put in your accounting knowledge. And if you think the treatment is wrong and itself is material, then you have to think about its impact on the audit report. Please consider listening to my P7 webinar, which was organized by ACCA Pakistan for March 2018 exams. You can get access to these webinars on Vimeo on the ACCA Pakistan channel. So if you can get access to those March 18 webinar for P7, I have covered the knowledge of reporting in that webinar. So that knowledge of reporting would really help you in terms of building your confidence towards solving a question on reporting. Right, so impact on report, right? So when you look at an accounting issue, right, and you first need to think about its materiality, you will be thinking about its treatment, whether it is right or wrong. If it is wrong, then why? And then think about the impact on report. So technically, again, they are like 3 marks for you. 1 mark is for materiality, as we discussed yesterday. 1 mark is for the treatment, and 1 mark is for the impact on report. So that is one very common thing you do in question 5, right? Where you are concerned about the issue and the impact of the issue on the audit report. Now, obviously, the impact on the report is not just of an accounting matter. The impact on the report can be of non-accounting matters. For example, the chairman report is not consistent with the financial statement, or something stated in the chairman report is contradicting with something given in the financial statement. Now, obviously, the chairman report has nothing to do with an accounting issue. But if there is something wrong in the chairman's statement, I also need to think about its impact on the audit report. So when the issue is accounting, consider the materiality of the accounting issue, then consider the treatment, and then consider the impact on report. Secondly, when you're considering the impact on report, there are so many impacts on report, right, which you should revise. The impact on the report can be a qualified opinion. The impact on the report can be an adverse opinion, right? Now, when there is an accounting issue, there can only be two impacts on the report. Either the accounting issue will have a material impact and hence a qualified opinion will be issued, or the accounting treatment will have a material and pervasive impact and you will issue an adverse opinion. So you need to be realistic about the impact on report. Which impact will you publish? Will you publish a qualified opinion? Will you publish the adverse opinion? So you need to judge the right impact. So for this, you should have clear knowledge, because if you are not clear on knowledge, there is a chance that you might give the wrong impact and hence start losing your marks. Okay, the second thing, the question 5 is not just a question which focuses on impact on report. Okay, impact is the major part of it. The question 5 also focus on something we were discussing even yesterday. The question 5 even asks you at times procedures. Now you know how to write procedures. We were discussing that yesterday. Very rarely in the past papers, we have seen procedures in question 5. Procedures in question 5. Now you know procedures. Procedures start with verb. We discussed them yesterday on day 3, and every procedure carries 1 mark per procedure. More importantly, at times in the question 5, the examiner do ask for you adjustments necessary. Examiner do ask you in the question 5 what adjustments are necessary. Now, when the examiner asks you what adjustments are necessary, adjustments means if there is an accounting issue, suppose the management has not recognized a share-based payment expense, and the examiner asks you what adjustments are necessary. Management has not recognized a share-based payment expense. So obviously that's an obvious accounting issue, that the management has not recognized a share-based payment expense, and the examiner asks you what adjustments are necessary. Now, when the examiner asks you what adjustments are necessary, you need to think about its debit and credit. You need to think about its accounting entry. You will tell examiner that if the share-based payment expense is not recognized, that means we should debit the expense and we should credit the equity, right? That means if the share-based payment expense is not recorded, what adjustment is necessary? Because you are standing at the reporting stage, right? So at the reporting stage, when you think that the share-based payment expense is not recorded, obviously you will ask management to adjust it. Now, what adjustment is necessary? So you need to show the adjustment, in the form of an accounting entry. Further, when the examiner asks you what adjustments are necessary, and suppose management has not given disclosure of related party transactions. Now, obviously, that's another accounting issue that the management has not given disclosure of the related party transactions. And the examiner asks you what adjustments necessary. Now, obviously, you cannot pass an accounting entry because the matter relates with a disclosure. So for a disclosure, you cannot pass an accounting entry. So the examiner is asking you what adjustments are necessary. So what will you tell examiner? You will tell examiner what adjustments are necessary. There should be a disclosure of the related party transaction in the notes to financial statements. See, there can be two types of adjustments, right? One adjustment can be a debit and credit, and the other adjustment can be a disclosure. But whenever the examiner asks you what adjustments are necessary, you need to show the adjustments either in the form of an accounting entry, if that relates to an accounting entry, or either in a form of a disclosure, if it relates to a disclosure. How many marks will you get for adjustments necessary? There is 1 mark per adjustment. So if you show examiner what adjustment is necessary, examiner will give you 1 mark for the adjustment. A lot of time, because the student is not reading the question carefully, so he tends to ignore adjustments and he thinks that is just not something to be answered. But when the examiner asks you what adjustments are necessary, please try to answer it, because you need to show the adjustment and take 1 mark per adjustment. Okay, let me see some of the questions coming from student. Himraj is asking, would we require detailed knowledge of IFRS? Yes, Himraj, it is a prerequisite of a P7 exams that you know the P2 knowledge, you know the accounting standard knowledge, because the examiner can ask you any accounting standard and any accounting issue. So it is a prerequisite that you know the P2 accounting knowledge. So please revise the summaries of the accounting standards. And even if you practice the past paper, even the practice of the past paper will give you ample amount of revision of the accounting standards. Okay, and there is another question from Lisa. She's asking, do you perhaps have answers for March 18 questions you solved? Obviously, Lisa, March 18 exams have not yet been uploaded by ACCA on their website due to the hybrid version of the paper. The last paper being uploaded is the September-December 2017 exams. So March 18 exams are not yet available. They will be available after the June 18 exams in the hybrid form. So for that reason, I don't have the answers. Okay, another question which is popping in is from Masood Khan. So will you please share your IES summaries? I try my best. I'm not committing. I try my best to do so. No, Rohit, question 5 on current issues are part of question 5. No, current issues can come in any question, but I will make current issues clear. When a current issue can come in P7, Rohit, I'll try making that very clear on in the question and answer session we have tomorrow. I'll keep that question specifically because I need to address all of them on that. So just holding your question for tomorrow, right? Lisa, you can access my webinar, the previous webinar from the Vimeo channel. The ACCA will guide you for that. Amit, I'm holding your question for the session tomorrow because these are all frequently asked questions. So for all the frequently asked questions, I'll be guiding you all tomorrow. Okay, let me get back to the discussion I was doing on what exactly the question asked for. Okay, so we have discussed if the question asks for an impact on report, then be realistic. The impact on the report can give you 3 marks, provided you discuss the materiality, you discuss the treatment, you discuss the impact. And when you're discussing impact, be realistic about which impact. Then the question 5 can ask you at times procedures, not a regular part of question 5, but at times the examiner asks you procedures. You know what are procedures, right? To try writing procedures in the answer. The question 5 can ask you adjustments necessary. So be realistic on adjustments necessary. Now, just like the class yesterday, the day 3, the question 5 can also ask you comment on the matters, comma. Now, this requirement was even in the question on evidence. Comment on the matters and explain the evidence in the working paper file. Now, what if the same requirement comes in the question 5? The examiner says, comment on the matters you should focus on. Comment on the matters you should focus on. And the question is the question 5. Then what is the comment? You will comment number 1. Your comment number 1 would be whether it is material or not, right? Your comment number 2 would be, is the accounting treatment right or wrong? And your comment 3 would be, what is the impact on report? So when the examiner asks you the comment on the matter, yesterday when we were discussing evidence, the comment on the matters was MTR. Now the comment on the matter, because it's a reporting question, so the comment on the matter has become MT, and I is the impact on the report. So when you comment on the matters, each matter is giving you 1 mark. So how many comments have you done? You've done the 3 comments. So 3 comments is equal to 3 marks, right? Okay, one last thing. In a question 5, apart from examiner asking you the impact on report, or the examiner asks you the adjustments, procedures, one very important requirement, which is very important for June 2018 exams. I believe this to be important for June 2018 exams. I probabilize this for June 2018 exams, is a requirement which says critically appraise the draft audit report. This requirement has come few times in past paper and is a regular feature of question 5. Examiner asks you critically appraise the draft audit report. The report will be given and you need to appraise the report, critically appraise the report. Now, when you're critically appraising the report, what exactly critically appraise report means? Let's do an exercise. What exactly critically appraise the report mean? Okay, before that, a question, Farooq Qayyum. Sir, if the adjustment necessary is asked and if the disclosure is not given, we have to tell the impact on the audit report? Yes, obviously, Farooq, a disclosure is an accounting issue. So if the disclosure is not given, will you not qualify the report? Suppose if a related party disclosure is not given, what will you do? Will you give a clean report? You cannot give a clean report, right, when the disclosure is not given, because it's an accounting issue. I hope that's clear, Farooq. Exactly. Okay, so let's prepare ourselves for critically appraise the report. That's one of the last requirement, and then I'm starting with the papers. This is very important for your exams coming in June. I believe that this could be the requirement you might get across the June 18 exams. Okay, critically appraise the draft audit report. What exactly critically appraised report means? First of all, critically appraise means that you need to read the report given in the question 5 and appraise the report for what is right and what is wrong. If you think something is right, justify why it is right. And if you think something is wrong in the report, something is wrong in the report, then justify why it is wrong. Appraise is a broad verb, right? Appraise is not just negative. Appraise means the favorable side as well. If you think something is good, you will be appraising it. If you think something is wrong, you will be appraising it. Critically appraise, right? So you will read the report, right? And reading the report, you will appraise the report. If you think something is right in the report, appreciate that. But for that, you should know you should have the knowledge of the report. You should know how the report looks like. Then only you can appraise it. You can solve the past papers for appraising the reports. Okay, secondly, when you're appraising the report, there can be many weaknesses in the report. You need to identify the weaknesses and simply tell why they are weaknesses. You are not required to draft the report again. A lot of student thinks that they have to draft the report again. No, drafting the report is not part of the P7 syllabus, right? Examiner will give you some extracts of the report, and he will ask you, read the extracts and tell me where is the flaw, where is the weakness. So you have to find out the weaknesses from the report, and you need to justify why they are weaknesses. Now, the weaknesses could be in the format of the report. It could be logical that as per the new report, opinion should come first, right? Opinion should come first, basis should come after. The examiner can do the vice versa. Examiner can put the basis first, opinion after. So you will criticize it, right? You will say, no, as per the new report, the opinion should come first, the basis should come after, rather than basis coming first and opinion coming after. Right? So the weakness could be in the format of the report. There could be something illogical in the format. There could be something illogical in the report format. Second, the weakness in the report can be in terms of the language used, and you think the language is not appropriate, or the jargons used are not appropriate. Right? Suppose the auditor said this was significant. Now, obviously, that is not a jargon. Significant? No. Material. What I should tell the shareholder? This is material. I should not tell shareholder this is significant, because the auditor speak in his language. So what is the language of the auditor? Significant? No. The language of the auditor is material. Right? So there can be some problems in the language. Third, there can be some problems within the opinion. The opinion given could be wrong. So you need to justify why the opinion is wrong. And it could be examiner can test you. Opinion, not necessarily every time the opinion given is wrong in a critical appraisal of the report, right? The opinion given could be right. Then you need to justify why it is right. So if it is wrong, why it is wrong. If it is right, why it is right. Examiner is testing your knowledge on appraisal. So the weakness could be in the format, right? The weakness could be in the language. The weakness could be in terms of the opinion, etc. Again, please follow my webinar, March 18 webinar, which you can get access to from the Vimeo, and you can get better sense of this exercise. Okay, let me look at some of the questions coming in the chat window. Auditor should express qualified opinion or auditor will express qualified opinion. Which sentence is most suitable? When you're very definite, right, you would say auditor should give a qualified opinion. Definite. Auditor will express a qualified opinion. No, auditor should give a qualified opinion. And again, the grammar, you're not being tested for grammar, right, in the P7 exam. Okay. Then there is a question from Wakas Mali. Sir, how to differentiate impact under risk matter report question? How to differentiate impact under risk matter and report question? Obviously, Wakas, impact is only part of the question 5. How can an impact be part of the risk question? In the risk question, we simply write the risk understatement, overstatement. Okay, so I tried doing an exercise with you, but let's find the last thing, critical appraisal. How many marks? The marking scheme of critical appraisal. Each appraisal is worth 1.5 marks. So you need to see how many marks you have. If you have 12 marks for appraisal, 12 marks divided by 1.5. So you should know how much to write. So every appraisal you do is in like 1.5 marks. So I've given you the marking scheme for critical appraisal and discussed with you what exactly that is. I've given you the marking scheme for impact on report, adjustments, procedures. So I've covered most of the verbs which are regular feature of the question number 5. But please ensure that for a question number 5, you should prepare knowledge. Then only you can do the question 5, right? And how would you prepare the knowledge? You would prepare the knowledge either from the March P7 webinar, plus from the articles on reporting, articles on audit report. I think there are like 3 articles on audit report on ACCA website for P7, including the article on the new audit report. So please do read the articles. I think because there are 2 to 3 articles on report published by ACCA, it's good to go into the articles rather than going into the books. So March P7 webinar, the articles on audit report, and then you come down, then I think that would be like sufficient knowledge to start on with practice, right? Okay, Wakas is asking another question, but in matters and evidence question, we also have to explain impact. No, Wakas, in the evidence question yesterday, we have to explain MTR, materiality, treatment, risk of material misstatement. Not the impact, right? The mnemonic was MTR yesterday, right? The mnemonic was not MTI, it was MTR. Yes, Kamal, it's perfectly fine. If you read all the articles on reporting, that will give you a very good knowledge, and with that you can then practice. Vakas, are you clear with the answer? Okay, let's start looking at the exam papers. Now the first question I'm choosing for this session, question 1. The session question 1 is from June 14 exams. And in the June 14 exams, I am looking for the question number 5, right, of the June 14 exams, which is the first session question. I'll illustrate with you. Okay, now in this question, can you see this requirement at the bottom line? It says critically appraise the report. And see, even the examiner is writing in the note. If you read that in the exam paper, because a lot of time in exam you're under so much stress, so much panic, then you don't read such things. See what's written in the note. It's written in the note, you are not required to redraft the extracts from the audit report. So you're not required to redraft it. You're just required to tell what is the weakness and why it is a weakness, or what is the strength and why it is a strength, right? So that is exactly what you have to do in this case, right? So how many marks we have for it? Critical appraisal, we have 12 marks, right? So I'll divide it with how much marks? 12 divided by how much? Let's see, attendees, how active you had been in terms of listening me. Let's see how many of you have been mentally present in the last half an hour. Very good. That's so good to see that. 12 marks, right? So with how many marks will I divide it? 12 divided by 1.5 marks. 1.5. So how many critical appraisals? I should do 8 critical appraisals, right? So perfect. I have to do 8 critical appraisals. Perfect. Now, when you're reading the critical appraisal, let's start from here where the report is starting. Can you start reading the B part? I'm giving you 2 to 3 minutes for the B part. Can you just scroll over the B part, and under 3-4 minutes you can prepare your 8 points, particularly those of you who are repeating P7. Can you just go over the B part and make an effort of identifying 8 points? After 4 to 5 minutes I'll start my exercise. See whether the report is right or wrong. Okay, has everyone read the question, the B part? Perfect, Lisa. You're on right track, Lisa. Yes, Sonia Abdullah, you are also on the right track. You're thinking on the right track. Okay, let's do a quick exercise on this B part. We have to find 8 problems or appraisals from the report. See, it's state here, Zai Smith has produced the report. Zai Smith has produced the report, and Zai Smith is a senior. If I have to be critical, I can be critical of many things then, because I have to assure that report is such a critical output, right? If I just start making some sense of this, June 14 question 5, we're looking at the part B. Again, the answer is given to you in the document section, but again, I'm just illustrating some of the answer so that you can get a common sense how to put it down. Now, when the question asks for a critical appraisal, so I'll put the heading on the top, which is basically which is basically you are a manager in Taylor and Company, and you have been responsible for this and this, and Mar Company. Okay, Mar Company. So we are doing a critical appraisal of the Mar Company. So my heading would be Mar Company. And under the heading of the Mar Company, see how you present your answer. I'll put my first point. And I'll say to the examiner, audit report is a critical output. Audit report is a critical output of the audit process, which should not be prepared by the senior because it can be prone to mistakes. At least the audit manager should prepare the report. See, it's such an important document. The manager is the right authority to prepare the report, and the partner is the right authority to check and sign it. So senior is not a relevant person, right? This is something deliberately done by examiner. If you've seen the quality control question, the examiner, because he wants you to criticize the quality, he deliberately brings the junior. Now in the reporting question, he deliberately brought Zai Smith, and he thought Zai Smith produced the report for you to pick up a point that is Zai Smith a relevant person to prepare the report? No, audit report is such a critical component. At least the manager should have prepared it. Right? So see how you write an appraisal. Appraisals are like specific. See my length of appraisal, and this length of appraisal is giving me 1.5 marks. Number 2, if I go back, question, it says basis for opinion and disclaimer of opinion. Now, if I solve this question as per the new report, because this is a very old question, if I solve it as per the new report, what should come first? Should opinion come first or should basis come first? As per the new report, attendees, quick answers. I'm solving this question as per the new report, right? I'm not solving this question as per the old report. So which would come first? Opinion. Muhammad Hassan, not basis. In the new report, the opinion comes first, basis comes after. Right? So let's criticize that. Number 2, the opinion para should come before the basis of opinion para. So the report is wrongly structured and fail to comply with the structure given in ISA 700. So opinion para should come before the basis of opinion para, right? As per the new report. Yes, basis will come after the opinion para, right? So opinion para should come before the basis of opinion para. So the report is wrongly structured and failed to comply with the structure given in ISA 700. Now, just quickly downwards, if I see we have performed our audit based upon a materiality level of $1.5 million. Do we refer materiality in the audit report? Do we tell materiality to the shareholder? Never, right? So is that another mistake? See, how would I write? Materiality level is never disclosed in the audit report. It's never disclosed in the audit report, as it only relates to the auditor when gathering evidence during the course of audit. So materiality level is never disclosed in the audit report as it only relates to the auditor when gathering evidence during the course of the audit and should not be disclosed publicly. Can you see the length of my critical appraisals? Is my appraisal vague? Is my appraisal vague? Am I telling examiner what's the problem and what's the right thing? What's wrong and what's right? But can you judge the length of the appraisal? Can you judge the length of the appraisal? Right? This is 1.5 marks. 3, 4.5 marks. Okay, let's find some more points. Okay, going back. Okay, then it says there are many mistakes, right? There are many mistakes. I'm just skipping some of them. You can see them in my answer. I'm just skipping many of them. The finance director the finance director of Mar company, Rita Gilmore, has refused to make an adjustment. Can I name a director in the audit report? No. Can I disclose the name of a director in the audit report? No. I say management has refused. I never said director has refused. So what should have been the right terminology? The management has refused, rather than saying the finance director. I cannot specify the position of a person. I cannot specify the name of a person in my audit report. So that is itself wrong, right? And again, one of a major mistake here is, which all of you are in agreement, should I have given a disclaimer of opinion? Is disclaimer the right opinion? Is disclaimer the right opinion? No. So what's the right opinion? What's the right opinion? What should have been given? Yes, exactly. Those of you who are giving the answer qualified is on the right track, not adverse. I'll just justify. You will not give an adverse opinion. You will give a qualified opinion. But at least all of you agree disclaimer is wrong. So let me draft one thing and then I'll justify that. Okay, one last point I'm drafting, then you can see my answers for rest of the drafting. The audit report should not contain the name of a person. The should not contain the name of a director or the position of the director. Rather, it should only mention the word management. It should only mention the word management. Full stop. So the audit report should not contain the name of a director, right? Or the position of the director. Rather, it should only tell the word management. Then last, disclaimer of opinion is a wrong opinion. Full stop. Is that a complete statement? Disclaimer of opinion is a wrong opinion. Should I justify examiner why it is a wrong opinion? Should I justify examiner why it is a wrong opinion? Yes, then the examiner will give me 1.5 marks, right? So disclaimer of opinion is a wrong opinion because the bad debts were not recorded. Bad debts were not recorded, which is a wrong accounting treatment. Which is a wrong accounting treatment. Which is a wrong accounting treatment. Full stop. Which is a wrong accounting treatment rather than the auditor being unable to obtain sufficient appropriate audit evidence. I hope you agree with that a disclaimer of opinion is given when the auditor is unable to obtain evidence, and that too is pervasive. So were we unable to obtain evidence? Were we unable to obtain evidence? No. So can we give a disclaimer? No. There was an accounting problem, right? So for an accounting problem, you cannot give a disclaimer, right? Disclaimer can only come when you have been unable to obtain evidence, and that too is pervasive. That is also very important, right? Disclaimer comes when the matter is pervasive and you were unable to obtain evidence, right? So disclaimer of opinion is a wrong opinion because the bad debts were not recorded, which is a wrong accounting treatment, rather than the auditor being unable to obtain sufficient appropriate audit evidence. Lastly, now you tell examiner what's the right opinion. The right opinion should had been a qualified opinion. The right opinion should have been a qualified opinion. The right opinion should have been a qualified opinion because the bad debts which are not recorded. How much is the percentage? What is the materiality of bad debts? Have anyone found the materiality of bad debts? Again, let's see how many of you are actively present in this webinar. 22%. Okay, has everyone found this is to be 22%? Perfect. The right opinion should have been a qualified opinion because the bad debts which are not recorded are 22% of the profit, thus being material to the financial statements. Hence, the right opinion should have been a qualified opinion because the bad debts which are not recorded are 22% of the profit, thus being material to the financial statement. So the issue was what? The issue was the bad debts are not recorded, right? And was it a material issue? So the issue was an accounting problem and the matter was material. So should I give a qualified opinion for that? Right? 22 or 23%, right? Whatever that is, will not, 1% would not make that difference. Rounding off effects. Now see how many critical appraisals. This was just a very open scan of the question. I didn't went deep into the question. You have my supportive answer. You can read that in your free time. But technically, see how many points I wrote. Technically, I wrote how many points? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So that means 6 points multiplied by 1.5. So how many marks am I getting so far? 9 marks out of 12. See how easy that is? No, Vakas, it cannot be pervasive. Percentages are different. Normally pervasive is like something which is more than 60% of the profit, or something which is more than 60% of the total assets. Sana, the audit senior point is that audit senior is not a relevant person to prepare the report. Report is something very important, right? Report is something very important. So at least the manager should have prepared the report. The blunders we have done in the report is only because the senior prepared it. Had it been prepared by the manager, there would not have been any blunder in the report. Is that clear, Sana? So pervasive, right? Those of you who are asking pervasive adverse, right? Pervasive is something which is 60 or more than 60% of the profit, or 60 or 60% of the total assets, or 60 or more than 60% of the revenue. For pervasive, the percentage has to be pervasive, right? So pervasive, I have limitation of the session, but please do listen to my webinar, March 18 webinar. In my March 18 webinar, I have made the material threshold and the pervasive threshold very clear. So if anyone's still having any confusions on what is material and what is pervasive, please do access my March 18 webinar and listen to that very carefully, particularly my day 5 webinar, right? I think, which was about reporting. So download it, listen to it, so that you have a perfect knowledge of what is material and pervasive. Farooq, should we write the complete opinion means what? The complete opinion in terms of, can you just elaborate? If I say emphasis of a matter is not needed in the case as the client did not correctly disclose the matter in the financial statement, then there can only be emphasis of matter para if the issue correctly disclosed. It needs to be emphasis to the shareholder. Perfect, Lisa. That statement of yours is perfect, right? Perfect knowledge and perfect way of writing it. Perfect way of writing it. Good going, Lisa. Okay, Farooq, still waiting for your redrafted question. Should we write the complete opinion means what? In terms of audit opinion, should we write the opinion line? No. You're not required to draft the opinion, right? You just need to judge the opinion. You need to judge the opinion, right? Not write the opinion. So you will tell examiner this will be a qualified opinion and why, or this will be adverse opinion and why. Is that clear, Farooq? Not the drafting of the opinion, right? Okay, is everyone clear? Please do see my answer to June 14 exams. How to write the critical appraisal, but at least I'm demonstrating 9 marks with you. I hope you're getting the sense of presenting the answer, how to present the answer, how to write an answer. And rest, if you are still weak on the audit reporting knowledge, then you have to get supported by my webinar, which was held in March 18. Yes, Sana, exactly. You can mention the placement where emphasis should be placed. So you can even support or criticize the placement of the emphasis. You can also criticize should emphasis come or not, and you can also criticize where should the emphasis come. Yes, exactly. We don't use the word conclusive, right? That itself is right. So that is one question, right? We're taking the namaz break now, and post namaz break, I'll bring another challenging question in front of you, which will be the second question, testing your reporting knowledge. Is everyone clear so far? So we're getting down with the namaz break, and post namaz break will resume. So let me put it here. We're going on a namaz break. It's currently almost 7 p.m. the Pakistan Standard Time. So we'll be back at 7:10 p.m. Pakistan Standard Time. Right? Lisa, we are going on a prayer break, right? It's time for prayers. So we're going for prayer break. I'll be back after that. Yes, Sonia, in bullets from should the answer. The critical appraisal is done in the format I've done with you, Sonia. It's not like bullets, it's like short paragraphs. It's not like bullets, it's like short paragraphs. Yes, Wakas Malhi, they are. If you if you involve yourself into those webinars, it would be really effective. Obviously, there has been a fabulous pass rate of students who use the March 18 webinar. A lot of them have got success listening to the March 18 webinar, and there had been a phenomenal success rate of students who were engaged in the March 18 webinar. So you can use them as an ideal resource to prepare yourself for June 18 exams. Yes, Rida, it's not listing appraisal. It's like putting short paragraphs. I hope you're getting distracted with the bullets. I'm not writing a sentence, right, Rida? I'm writing a short paragraph. So appraisal is written in the way. The reason why I drafted the answer was to demonstrate how it has to be written. So you have to follow the same way of writing the answer for critical appraisal. Is that clear to everyone? Okay, I'm going for the prayer break. We'll be meeting in like 10 minutes time. Okay, welcome back from the prayer breaks. So let's start an exercise now on the second question for reporting. Now, this is one type of a question we just did, and it's expected for June 18 exams. So please practice some more questions on the critical appraisal of the report, which will really benefit you. And please do see my answer on the critical appraisal of the report, right? Okay, now the second question we are starting today, which I have selected for this practice to pass session, is a question from June 13 exams, question number 5. Now, the question 5 of the June 13 exam has been chosen for the reason to give you an idea that how important it is to read the requirements of a question and how important it is to really see what the examiner is asking. And if you are unaware of the marking scheme, a simple question, you can make that simple question look difficult, or you might, that simple question which must have given you so many marks turns out to be a disaster for you. Now, this June 13 question number 5, if I go at the bottom of the page and just enabling my tools, comment. Okay, let's see what is the requirement of this question. Need to critically appraise the requirement as well. Please, it's very, very important that you read the requirement carefully. Read the comma, read the and. The comma and can play a crucial part in your success and failure of the exams. Wakas, when you're writing that the bad debt should be recorded, and they are 22%, so more or less you have advice on the treatment that the bad debt should be recorded and the bad debts are not recorded. So that's fine enough, right? In a critical appraisal, you just keep it down to that much. So in a critical appraisal, you don't go much beyond that. We'll do what you're asking. We'll do this in this question, right? Because that's the nature of this question. Okay, now if I look at the requirement of this question, it says in respect of each of the matter described. In respect of each of the matter described. Where described? Above. So in respect of each of the matter described. Assess the implication for the completion of the group audit. Assess the implication for the completion of the group audit. The 3 matters above, right? The 3 matters above, we need to assess their implication for the completion of the group audit. What implication? The implication, their adjustments, explain any adjustments necessary to the consolidated financial statement. So I need to assess their adjustments before the completion of the audit. So we assess the implication for the completion of the group audit. That statement does not carry any marks. The marks are starting from comma, explaining any adjustments that may be necessary to the consolidated financial statement, and recommending further procedures necessary. And then can you see this and here? And describe the impact on the group report if these adjustments are not made. Describe the impact on the group report if these adjustments are not made. So technically, the examiner is asking 3 things from you. The examiner is asking from you to write adjustments. Then the examiner is asking you to write procedures. And then the examiner is asking you to write impact on report. 1 mark, right? 1 mark is for adjustment. For every adjustment, 1 mark is for every procedure. And impact on report. For the impact on report, what do you have to tell? First, you have to tell what? You have to tell its materiality. Then you have to tell what's the issue. And then you have to tell the impact on report. right? Now let me demonstrate one of them with you so that you know how to take your marks. Again, the answer is given to you. Yes, Farooq, let me solve the question first. Most of your problems would be resolved. Okay, if I go up and I pick one question from here, I pick trade receivables, right? Now, how many marks I have for trade receivable? I have 7 marks. How many things I have to do in 7 marks? Procedures, adjustments, impact on report, right? Can you just read toy company in 3 to 4 minutes? Can you just read the toy company in 3 to 4 minutes before I start writing the answer on the word file? I need to demonstrate how will you take the 7 marks. Okay, so have you read the A part, sorry, the toy company? Okay, let's start. Okay, Kesser, you're doing the mistake. I hope you were there in the yesterday session. Obtain the copy of the claim. Copy of the claim. Copy of the claim is an evidence. Obtain the claim. Obtain the claim itself, right? You're not writing evidence. You're writing a procedure. So you will say obtain the claim from the ex-employee, or not the copy of the claim. Okay, let me draft the answer. See how would I write? How would I structure this answer? Okay, again, I'm illustrating the answer is with you, so you can see the answer, but let me illustrate this answer for you. June 2013, question number 5, and I'm doing the part A, which is the toy company. And for toy company, we have how many marks? We have 7 marks for toy company. And for 7 marks, we have to do how many things? 3 things, right? Now, what is the examiner asking me? The examiner is asking me 3 things, right? Just let me first make a table. Let me first make a table. Then I'll write the paragraph. Okay. This table is just my planning. You can do such plannings in exam paper, provided you know the benefit of planning. Planning, ideally in every question, 1/4 of your time should go on planning. So ideally in every question, 1/4 of your time should go on planning, which most of the students fail to do so, because planning leads to such a good answer. I'm just demonstrating that. Suppose I have 5 minutes and I have to plan this answer for 7 marks. Now, when I'm doing the planning, I know the examiner is asking me 3 things. The examiner is asking me adjustments. The examiner is asking me procedures. The examiner is asking me impact on report. Impact on report. Now I have to take 7 marks, right? So let's see how I take it. Adjustment. The management has not recorded a provision. What is the adjustment? Okay, I'll debit the operating expense, and I'll credit the current liabilities. How much is the amount of adjustment? The amount of adjustment is dollar. Sorry, the amount of adjustment is dollar 0.5 million and dollar 0.5 million. Okay, so I wrote the adjustment. So I'm just planning, right? I'll show you the way of writing the answer. So with that adjustment, I'll take 1 mark. Okay, then the examiner is saying, write the procedures. Okay, I'll think, okay, what procedures to write? The procedures to write is in the case study. I'll go back to the case and I'll say, okay, the component auditor has been instructed to provide the group audit team with the details of the court case which is ongoing. Details of the court case. So, okay, my first procedure would be that I should review the details of the court case, review the details of the court case to identify, to confirm the amount of claim, because I need to pass the adjustment, right? So to pass the adjustment, I need to confirm the amount of the claim and the basis of claim. Why is the claim being made? So that can be my one procedure. See, for procedure, I go back to the case because the procedure has to come from within the story of the examiner. Okay, I go back. Okay, to comply with the local legislation, toy companies' individual financial statements are prepared using a local financial reporting framework. Under the local framework, a provision is only recognized if a cash flow is virtually certain. So should I check the local framework? Because this provision was not recorded in the subsidiary, the provision is being recorded in the group. So should I confirm that subsidiary is exempt from recording a provision? Should I confirm the local accounting standards? So I say review the local accounting standards to confirm a provision was not needed in component financial statement. Right? Then I go back and see the next point. The component auditor has obtained a verbal confirmation from the legal advisor that the damages are probable. So I league verbal confirmation. No, I'll write my own procedure here. I'll say correspond in writing with the legal advisor to confirm that damages. Yesterday we were discussing the sufficiency and appropriateness of the evidence, right? Verbal has no sufficiency and appropriateness. So correspond in writing with the legal advisor to confirm that the damages are probable to be paid. See, from where I got these three procedures? Did I write the case to find these three procedures? No, Vakas, every country has their own local standards, right? You need to stick to your local standards. So the component auditors stick to the local standards. IAS and IFRS are not followed in the whole world. America do have its US GAAP. The American economy do have their US GAAP as well. So how can you say the IAS and IFRS apply in the whole world? So there can be local laws, and you have to stick to the local laws. You cannot give local laws. You cannot give international laws precedence over the local laws. So the subsidiary auditor has done the right treatment, but now it's the group, and we are assuming the group is following the IFRS and IAS. So where are we recording the provision, Vakas? We're recording the provision in the group financial statements, right? Not the subsidiary financial statement. So the subsidiary auditor has done the right treatment. Okay, my question was, from where I got these three procedures, did I read the case to find the three procedures? Did you got the sense that when the examiner asks you to write a procedure, please look at the case and find the procedure from the case? Is that clear to everyone? See, I wrote three procedures, but all of them were coming from the case study. I reviewed the details of the court case. I reviewed the local accounting standards. I correspond in writing with the legal advisor. Is everyone clear with that? Okay, now how many marks have I got so far? Procedures give me 3 marks, adjustment give me 1 mark. So how many marks I'm left with? I've left with 3. So I'm planning my answer so far. Impact on report. Now, whenever you're writing an impact on report, you will be a very weak student in an exam paper. You see, impact on report, auditor will issue a qualified report, qualified opinion, full stop. And you think examiner will give you marks for such a statement? Whenever you are writing an impact on report, I just made that clear at the beginning of the session today that when you're writing the impact on report, you need to think about its materiality, 1 mark. You need to think about its treatment, 1 mark. And then you need to think about its impact, 1 mark. So how many marks are there for impact on report? 3. No, Himraj. The subsidiaries can have their local standards. See, there are so many subsidiaries which operates in the different part of the world. Every subsidiary follows their own local standards. But when you do consolidation, consolidation is done by the group. So the group follows the IFRS. No, not at all. The subsidiary follows the local standards, right? But when it comes to consolidation, the group has to convert the local standards to the IAS and IFRS. So subsidiary sticks to the local standards, right? But when you do the consolidation, the parent converts the subsidiary accounts into the IFRS or the IAS. Is that clear, Himraj? Okay, so how will I take my 3 marks impact on report? I'll first tell examiner the materiality. How much is the materiality? It's $0.5 million divided by how much is the group profit? $2 million. Okay, the group profit is $2 million divided by $2 million is equal to 25%, hence material, 1 mark. Then it'll examine a treatment. The treatment is because it has a probable outflow as per IS 37. I should recognize a provision. So there was a case, right? And the case has a probable outflow, so I should recognize a provision. And the last impact, the impact is no if the group, I hope you've read the line, the group is reluctant making any provision, right? So the impact would be a qualified opinion. See the last column, 3 marks. First, whenever you're writing an impact, don't just rush to the impact. First, tell examiner the basis of impact. First, tell examiner, is it material? Yes. Is the treatment wrong? Yes. Then tell examiner the impact. Because examiner says you have 3 marks for impact. 1 mark for materiality, 1 mark for the treatment, 1 mark for the impact. Now see, have I made my 7 marks? Yes, exactly. Kamal Hussain, agree with your statement. Yes, Vakas, agree with your statement. Okay, is everyone understanding the planning sense? So has planning made me clear of how to take the 7 marks? Right? Now it's about how to present the answer. No, Vakas, let me present the answer. Let me present the answer because a lot of time you get distracted with putting things in column. Let me go this way. See, now if I present my answer, how to present my answer. If I'm presenting my answer, I'll present my answer this way. I'll put the heading toy company and I'll say the provision has not been recorded in the provision has not been the provisions related to court the provision related to the court case has not been recorded in the group financial statements as the group management is reluctant making any adjustments. The provision relating to the court case has not been recorded in the group financial statement as the group management is reluctant making any adjustments. The following adjustment the following adjustment should had been made. Debit, operating expense, credit, current liability, and I put the amount $0.5 million, $0.5 million. Okay. The provision related to the court case has not been recorded in the group financial statement as the group is reluctant making any adjustment. The following adjustment should be made. Then I show the adjustment. Then second, further, the group auditor should, see I'm writing procedures. Further, the group auditor should, number one, further the group auditor should review the details of the court case. I'm not writing the answer in full, I've written it above. Second, the group auditor should review the local accounting standards. And third, it should correspond in writing with the legal advisor. Now I come to my last paragraph. I'll say if the adjustment is not made, the provision is the adjust as per IAS 37, a provision should be recognized. A provision should be recognized when there is a probable outflow and the cost, there is a probable outflow and a reliable estimate can be made. Thus, a provision should be recognized in group financial statements, which should be recognized in the group financial statement. Should be recognized in the group financial statement. I wrote the treatment, right? As per the IAS 37, a provision should be recognized when there is a probable outflow and a reliable estimate can be made. Thus, a provision should be recognized in the group financial statement, full stop. However, as the provision has not been recorded, as the provision has not been recorded, however, the provision not recorded is 25% of the group total of the group profit. Thus, it is material to the financial statements and a qualified opinion should be issued. See, under the heading of toy company, my last paragraph is basically the impact should be issued. In my last paragraph, I first talked about the accounting treatment very briefly. Then I talked about the 25%, and then I talked about the qualified opinion. So my last paragraph is worth 3 marks, right? Then before that, I wrote my procedures. These were my procedures. I didn't use any headings. Even if you want to use headings, you can. Suppose you use a heading like adjustments. If you want to do that, adjustments, you put a heading procedures and you put a heading impact on report. If you want to do so, you can do so as well. so that you can at least remember in the exam that you have to do three things. Impact on report. If you want to go this way, you can go this way as well. Whichever way you think is good for you. At least you will remember that you have to do three things. Adjustments, procedures, impact. But first of all, please make a plan of your answer, because if you're not making a plan of your answer, first of all, you should know there are three things. In an exam rush, you might overlook one thing, and you might believe the examiner is giving me 7 marks just for writing an impact. See, will I get marks on impact on report? Will I get 3 marks for impact on report if a student write it this way? Let me criticize it. If a student write it this way, the auditor will issue a qualified opinion, full stop. Will you get 3 marks for that statement? Obviously no, right? So if a student writes this way, the auditor will issue a qualified opinion. Will the student expect to be rewarded 3 marks? Not at all. Then how should you write? When you're writing it, you should write it this way. The student should write the impact on report by properly justifying the materiality of the issue in the case, followed by the right accounting treatment, and then concluding on the right opinion will lead to score 3 marks. Is everyone getting the point I'm trying to deposit? Impact on report. I've seen so many students, they just write one line for impact on report. This will give rise to an adverse opinion, full stop. This will give rise to a disclaimer of opinion, full stop. You need to justify. The justification have a mark. When you say this is an opinion, build the opinion, support your opinion. How will you support your opinion? You will first tell the materiality factor. You will then tell what is the problem, what is the treatment, and then you will come down writing, okay, this is the conclusion, this is the opinion. Right? So please, it's not like a blunt statement in an exam paper which is written in the red. What is written in the green is perfect. This is perfect, which should be given in the exam paper. So I think for a lot of students, the question on reporting is just to give a blunt statement. This is a qualified opinion. And you expect examiner will give you 7 marks for that. How many things the examiner was asking in this question? Adjustments. Have you ever thought about that adjustment? How to show adjustments? Have you ever thought about adjustment have 1 mark? Have you ever thought about that the examiner is asking you to write a procedure, and you thought about procedure carries 1 mark, and the procedure has to come from the case? Have you ever thought about the impact on report has 3 marks? I'm addressing those who are repeating P7. How many times have you done these blunders in the past attempts? And how many times have you been getting flunked on 47, 46, 45, 49? How many times you read the requirements? How many times you do the justice with the requirement? You are in a rush and a panic, and at times you try to assume the question the way you like to. At times you assume the question you like to. I cannot assume the question I like to. I need to take the way the examiner wants to. So examiner wants from me 3 things, right? Adjustments, procedures, impact. So I have to write the 3 things. I cannot assume the question the way I like and the way I wish to answer. So I cannot write impact on report and get 7 marks. So are you getting some sense of writing this answer? Are you getting the sense of writing this answer? Okay, let me see some questions which has just come in the last minute, and so let me track it from the question which came from Wakas first, but this treatment is basically explaining. Okay, I've addressed Wakas that question. Farooq asked me if the liability is recorded, then the financial statements are against. If if it if it liability is recorded and the financial statements are against the local laws, Farooq, we are recording the adjustment in the group. I hope, why are you not getting that sense? We are taking the impact on the group. The subsidiary is right. The subsidiary is right. The subsidiary has not recorded a provision because the subsidiary was following the local laws, and the subsidiary is right. But now when the subsidiary converts to consolidation, in the consolidation we have to record the provision, because in consolidation we have to follow the IFRS. I hope, Farooq, that is clear. That is a basic simple knowledge between a component and a parent company. Then Sarah, okay, Kamal, for part 3 section, we don't need to present part 2 separately, right, sir? For part 2 section answer, we don't need to present the part 2 separately. Yes, exactly, Kamal. Sana is asking a question, sir, if amount not given, then how to divide marks? If amount not given, then how to divide marks? Sana, I cannot get your question. Okay, then there is another question. Okay, there is another question coming in. Is sir, in procedures example review details a court case, there is no reason that why to review it. Should we give reason as well? Yes, exactly. You have to give reason for a procedure. In terms of the time limitation, I'm not giving it. If you see my answers, in my answers, the reason is given. Yes, David, if you see my paragraphing, from here, this how to present the answer. I'm not writing a skeleton answer for you in this session, right? I'm writing a proper answer for you, how you should write in the exam paper. So see from where my answer started. My answer started from an adjustment. That's a proper adjustment followed by procedures. You need to write proper procedures followed by the impact on report. So see, for 7 marks, I have like 14 minutes. So technically, see, I can fit this answer in 14 minutes. So the way I'm writing is the proper way of writing the answers, right? And that's exactly where you can complete your 100 marks paper and get through P7, rather than writing those lengthy answers and just coming out of the exam hall with incomplete paper. No, Sandesh, you write IS 37 or you don't write IS 37. You need to write the treatment. The treatment is probable outflow and a reliable estimate. IS 37 does not have marks. The treatment have mark. And I've made that comment much of the time across the last 4 days. Okay, Sana Zahir, there is another question. If materiality amount not given, then how to divide marks to right impact? Obviously, in a question 5, do you expect examiner not to give you amounts? Because amounts are so closely connected with giving material pervasive. There might be things material by nature. There are so many things which are material by nature, like a related party transaction. So either I have to judge materiality by the nature, or I have to judge materiality by the amount. Sana, so how can the question 5 be without amounts? Because they have such a strong relationship with the report question. Okay, is everyone getting clear on this 3 verbs? 3 verbs we used in this exercise: adjustments, procedures, impact on report. And is everyone becoming clear with the marking scheme of adjustments, procedures, and impact on report? Please remember one thing. Let me do another criticism for you, because I think these criticisms would really help you down with the. Just want to do something very important with you, right? See, when you read a question like such which has three or more requirements, like the one we just read, right? When you read a question like such which has three or more requirements, then you need to carefully plan your answer and should know the marking scheme. Now, when I'm looking at a question like such, I should plan my answer first. Plan your answer first, because planning is very important. If you have 30 minutes to attempt an answer, if I'm attempting it, I'll say, okay, 30 minutes. Okay, let's first have a good 5 minutes for planning, because planning leads to a good execution. If I spend 5 minutes on planning, the 25 minutes will become so beneficial. But if I just read the question and I start attempting toy company, my answer would not be to the quality where it should had been if I should have spent 5 minutes first planning how to write toy company. So plan your answer first, give 5 minutes to it, and see you have 7 marks. And in the 7 marks, the examiner is saying, I want you to write an adjustment. So think for a minute, what is an adjustment? Then think the examiner is asking you to write an impact on report. Then think the examiner is asking you to write procedures. Then at least your answer in the 25 minutes will become so good. So please ensure that planning of your requirement. A lot of times students keep failing P7 paper because they are not reading the requirement. They're not planning the requirement. They're just reading and rushing. Please read the requirement, plan the requirement, see how much marks to allocate. When you have a clear focus, then start writing the answer. You cannot just start writing the answer without a clear focus. So 7 marks adjustment, okay. 7 marks impact on report, okay. 7 marks procedure, okay. Then I'll say adjustment 1 mark, because there cannot be more than one adjustment in 7 marks. Then I'll say impact on report. Okay, you recall your webinar sitting in the exam hall, and you think, okay, in the webinar I was told that impact on report has 3 marks. Impact on report, what 3 marks? I have to speak of the materiality, I need to speak of the treatment, and I need to speak of the impact. So if you recall the webinar, you got to know, okay, impact has 3 marks. Now, if you're a clever student, you think, okay, one adjustment, okay, 3 marks for impact. How much I left with? I've left with 3 and 1, 4. I've left with 3 marks. 3 marks, where to put them? I put 3 marks in writing the procedures. How many procedures? 3 procedures. I hope you are getting my point, which is very, very important, particularly for those students who are part of this webinar and who are repeating and failing P7, because I've been getting messages of students. It is my fourth attempt, it's my fifth attempt, it's my third attempt. You will keep failing if you don't understand what exactly is to be done. You will do the same mistake in the June 18 exams. Please read the requirement carefully, and for 5 minutes, plan the requirement. Even if you're doing the practice at home, first look at the requirement, spend 5 minutes on analyzing the requirement, spend 5 minutes on what exactly the requirement is asking for. And after 5 minutes, see your mindset will open, and then you can lay out a very good answer. An answer which can bring success to you in P7. I hope you're getting my point and my mindset, which I'm trying to portray to you, because there are so many students who are repeating P7 and repeating it since long now. Tarek, there are not many marking schemes, right? Every topic has one marking scheme, so you cannot put this lame excuse how to remember the marking schemes, right? It's pretty simple. Students can remember so many things, right? The marking scheme is pretty simple thing. In P7, there is hardly 2 to 3 marking schemes. Either something is divided by 1 in P7, or something is divided by 2 in P7, or maximum something is divided by 1.5 in P7. So obviously, if you have to pass P7, you need to find a way of remembering these marking schemes. Is everyone getting the sense that planning an answer can give you a real benefit of passing P7? Because just in a question there were so many things, and if you ignore one of them, you ignore 2 of them, you are spoiling your 20 marks answer, right? Right? So I think Vakas, you put a question to me. I've missed that out. Can you repost your question? If I can just track your question out. Obviously, Vakas, a CAM question has not been uploaded yet. None of the CAM question which has come in the past papers have been uploaded. So I cannot do a CAM question with you. But please do listen to my webinar for March 18. I did try making a practice of CAM in the March 18 webinar. Would be really real benefit for you. Farouk, obviously, if you're missing treatment carries 1 mark. So you're putting an illogical question, right? How can you get 3 marks without writing a treatment? The treatment carries 1 mark. Treatment is very important element, right? The question 5 is on the accounting issues, right? So how can you ignore the accounting issues? How can you ignore the treatments? Treatments is such a fundamental part of the whole P7 paper. I hope, Farooq, you're clear with that. Okay, one final thing, right? On this session we had on reporting today. Please be clear with one thing, that in terms of reporting, first of all, read the requirements carefully. See how many requirements are there, how many things the examiner is asking you. Read the comma and very carefully. Wherever you see a comma, that means the examiner is breaking something. Wherever you see the word and, be very careful, because and is breaking the requirement. So read the comma and the word and very carefully. Recall the marking scheme in the exam paper, how much marks to give, recall the marking scheme, plan your answer for 5 minutes, and then execute your answer. To perfection, and hopefully will bring better results. Right, so please be realistic. Question 5 is a very good question in P7. If you know the knowledge, if you know the articles, if you are good into the knowledge, then I'll prefer do the question 5, because the question 5 is so systematic. If you know how to respond to a question 5. Right, so I hope you're getting some benefits of these draftings which has gone from the day 1 to day 4, because I'll be meeting you tomorrow on the day 5th, which is the final day, but the agenda of the day 5th is to have a question and answer session with you, because all of you have so many questions and all of you are so skeptical. So obviously I need to respond to your skeptical mindsets tomorrow. So you will be at liberty tomorrow to question me, and I'll be responding to your questions tomorrow. And many questions today, many questions day before yesterday, which must have gone unattended. So you have an opportunity tomorrow, because I'll be glued to the chat window tomorrow, and I'll be looking at your chat windows tomorrow, and I'll be trying my best to answer each and every question tomorrow. So I've seen a lot of enthusiasm today. A lot of students I obviously were very spontaneous today, like Farrokh, Tariq, Lisa. There were students like Rida, Sana, Himraj. Himraj has been very active throughout the sessions. So I wish you all the best of luck. I hope whatever you have learned from the day 1 to day 4 in terms of practice, you will really be implementing that in your exam papers, right? So let me do one final recap now. If I go to the key learnings for day 4, the variety of marking schemes. So read my answer plans. Please, I have given 2 of my answers. Read my answers to see the marking schemes, though I've justified my marking schemes. Impact on report. Impact on report. Can you see that ISO? Impact on report, 3 marks. I is what? I is the issue. Issue is what? Issue is the accounting issue, right? I is the right. I is the issue. Issue is the accounting issue. S is the scale. Scale means material or pervasive. And O is the opinion. If you listen to my webinar for March 18, you will see that ISO in my webinar. So ISO, I is the issue, S is the scale, O is the opinion. 3 marks, right? The second, critically appraise the report. I did that with you, 1.5 mark per critical appraisal. So 1.5 mark per critical appraisal. Then be clear on the knowledge. Be clear on the knowledge. I did mention that read the examiner articles for a clarity on knowledge, and carefully see the requirement to justify that you have done the complete requirement, as this question contains multiple requirements. Okay, so I hope you had a good session today. And overall, from the day 1, Monday, to the day 4, today on Thursday, you must have gained some strengths which would help you out in your exams for P7 in June. So I hope this session was beneficial for you, particularly those again who are repeating and keep getting failed at 47, 46, 49, right? So tomorrow you have an opportunity that you can ask me questions pertaining to P7. You can ask me questions pertaining to any topic in P7, and I'll be responding to your queries tomorrow. And same time, 6 to 8 p.m. the Pakistan Standard Time. Okay, so that is it for today. Thank you very much for being into the session today and being so active into the session today. I'll meet you tomorrow with a question and answer session. Please prepare yourself effectively for P7 and try to do your best and deliver your best for P7 exams in June. Thank you and Allah Hafiz.